Hey guys, Dead by Dawn 3 here, and for my new movie review, I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite horror films of all time. This is definitely in my top 10 movies. It is Phantasm. Such a great movie. I already discussed this in my last episode of Must See Horror, but I did not go into a lot of detail about what the film is about, and so I thought for the people that don't know what this movie is about, I thought I'd go ahead and talk about it. So, without further ado, let's get into the review. Basically, the film follows these two brothers. One's name is Mike, played by Michael Baldwin, and one's name is Jody, played by Bill Thornbury. And they live together alone in their home, and their parents died years ago for that. And you know, um, Mike is a 13-year-old kid, and like most 13-year-old kids, he follows his brother around a lot. He wants to be, with him most of the time, which kind of reminds me of me with my older cousin. I always want to be around him, and I can really relate to him like that. But Jody, he actually wants to, sort of move on his life a little bit, so he's planning on sooner or later gonna take Mike to his aunt's house and have him go live there now that he's 13 years old. They're also very good friends with the local ice cream man named Reggie, who's played by Reggie Bannister, who's just really cool, laid down guy, very, a good all-around guy, a good friend. He plays guitar, and him and Jody, at one point in the film, they do actually play guitar, and they play a song together, which is actually a pretty good song. That was actually written by Bill for the movie, which I thought by the guy who plays Jody, Bill Thornbury, for the film, and that was just a really cool. I really like those scenes because it really not only does it establish character development, it really makes you kind of feel for these characters, like you know where they're coming from. You know that they're just like something that's laid back, laid back people, and I think that really helps. Well, basically the film starts off, and they end up finding out that one of their friends has been. They assume he killed himself. His name is Tommy, and they think that he killed himself. So they're at his funeral. Reggie and Jody, and Jody didn't want Mike to go, but the first time you see Mike is that he's riding his dirt bike through the graveyard, and then he's sort of spying on the funeral with his binoculars. And once the funeral's over, Mike notices something. He notices this really tall man dressed up like a mortician, and it shows him pick up their friend Tommy's coffin and put it in the back of a hearse and drive off. And that's when he starts to realize that there's something weird going on, because he just saw the coffin being carried by 5 or 6 guys, and how they even struggled to pick it up like that. Well, he ends up going over to his friend's house at one point because he wants to talk to his grandmother. Her grandmother's sort of like psychic, and they basically have this small little black box sort of appear in front of him, and make him put his hand inside of it, and it hurts him. And when he takes it out, she tells him, keeps telling him, "Don't fear, Michael, don't fear." It's a really creepy scene. And then that's when she's like, "My grandmother wants you to know that fear is the killer." And of course he has no idea. He just thinks that they're crazy, so he gives them $1, walks off. But as the movie goes on, he sort of as the movie goes on, he sort of notices some weird things going on at the local morgue. And so basically, like a young kid, he goes over to investigate, and he's in the basement. He finds out that that the entire mortuary is being run by these little dwarfs. That's what they are. And they basically sort of chase him around and stuff. Not only that, but there's also a steel ball that flies around, a silver spear that flies around, which is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like, this truly is. It's It's a silver ball, which is like right here. This thing will let me. There's a better picture of it, and it's basically a silver ball, and it has these two like fork things that come out of it, and a little drill, and it sticks into your head, and it drills into your head. He also finds the character. He also finds a very tall man who they just call the tall man, and he basically is the mortician, and he's the one that's doing all this. Played by the legendary, and probably a legendary performance, Angus Scrimm, which his performance, it's an iconic horror performance in this film. Angus Scrimm is amazing in this movie. And, basically, he goes off, he goes off and he tells his brother what's it about. His brother doesn't really believe him. But, at the same time, he's like, alright, well, I'll go check it out. And he goes there. He almost gets attacked by one of his dwarf characters, and he does find out there is something weird going on. Let me back up a little bit. Something I forgot to mention. The reason why he actually starts to believe Mike about what's going on is that when Mike actually breaks into Mork, he gets chased by the tall man and ends up cutting his fingers off. It's really cool. Right before a very awesome scene of a drill into the head, which is just amazing. So much blood. The scene where there's one character, he gets drilled in the head, it's actually, that was the one scene that the MPAA said they would not allow, and they actually gave the movie an X, but the filmmaker, the director, Don Coscarelli, I can't pronounce his last name, please forgive me, but he actually was actually friends with somebody on the board, and they actually managed to get the film down to an R rating without having to cut that scene. But anyway, Mike pretty much just shows Jody his finger, and that his finger shows him one of his fingers that he took, tall man's fingers, and it's basically moving around. So it's like, all right, there's something going on. And then basically Reggie finds out. Tell him about it. There's a lot of really cool scenes. Like after Jody breaks back into the mortuary when he's coming back out. There's a car chasing after him, and there's this really cool car chase in the movie that's very cool, and the music is very cool in that scene as well. Speaking of the music, let me tell you about this. The music in this film is amazing. It has one of the best horror themes in a horror film. Just very cool. Sounds like, music you hear in a mortuary. It sounds like the piano and everything. I definitely put the music up there with the likes of the Halloween theme or, anything like that. It has one of the best horror music themes in I've ever heard. It's a very, very, very cool theme, and the music plays throughout the whole movie. There's only like a few scenes where there's not the music playing, but other than that, very, very cool. It's a lot of really cool stuff. The movie, one thing I really enjoy about it is that the movie actually follows Mike, and you see what everything's going on through the eyes of a 13-year-old kid, which is very cool, because not that many horror films they go and they focus just on a kid that young, and I think Michael Baldwin does a very good character. By the way, Michael Baldwin, he's in no way related to the Baldwin brothers, so But I really liked it. I really thought his performance was very well in it for such a young kid. And he talked about, he got a chance to drive the motorcycle. He drives this awesome car, man. Like the car in the movie is very cool, and he got a chance to and he drives it in the movie and stuff. And that's him really driving it. He got a chance to got taught how to drive by the guy who plays Jody, Bill Thornbury, and it's very cool. But it was really cool just seeing the whole story in the eyes of a 13-year-old kid, because you're sort of seeing it through everything. So for younger horror fans, it's very good. Let me tell you a little about this edition that I have. This is the Anchor Bay edition from Phantasm with the original cover art, which is just awesome. See, there's a Mike right there, the dwarf characters, Angus Scrimm, tall man, and it's got the awesome line, "If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead." But yeah, this is just a really nice addition to the film. It's got a lot of special features, including a 30-minute documentary, which really goes very in-depth about the film. It tells you all you need to know about the movie, from the casting to how they built the spear, the silver spear, and everything. It also has a commentary by the director, as well as all three, whereas Michael Baldwin, who of course plays Mike, Angus Scrimm plays a tall man, and Bill Thornbury, sorry I can't speak today, Thornbury, who plays Jody, as well as deleted scenes and lots of extra stuff. There's a shot, but yeah, really nice. And I love this poster because it really talks. At one point in the movie, while the three characters are actually in the mortuary, they go through this door, and there's these two like silver rods there. And it doesn't really lead you. It looks like it doesn't lead anywhere until Mike puts his hand through it and his hand disappears. And so he puts his arm all the way through it and he gets sucked into it. And it's basically the planet where the dwarves lives, or their world. And the whole place is red and he's just floating there. And you actually see them all down there. And there's no gravity. So what they have to do is they have to crush them. One thing the tall man is actually doing is that he's actually taking the bodies and he's basically turning them into dwarf figures. That's what he's doing. And at one point, it's kind of a sort of an emotional scene that actually Michael actually does find the coffin of his dad, and he opens it up and he finds out that it's empty. And that's when he realizes that the tall man is actually literally taking his family away, and are now, But there's a lot of good iconic scenes in this film. There's one point where Mike is just laying in bed and he wakes up and a tall man is above him, and then the dwarf figures come out. It's not just, the whole movie's just not about dwarves. There's other people that work with the tall man and stuff and things like that. But you don't see a lot of them. You see them more in the sequels, which I will talk about the sequels. Let me just go ahead and open this up real quick and show you guys the inside art of the guy getting drilled in the head, which is really cool. But anyway, this is just such an amazing movie. This is my DVD edition, and I also have this MGM Movie Time VHS, which I also like. As for the sequels, if I had to pick my favorite one, I'd definitely say Phantasm 2 is another amazing sequel. It's one of my favorite horror movie sequels, even though the kid who played Mike in it, Michael Baldwin, is not in that one for some reason, but he is in the other ones. But I highly recommend that one as well. But anyway, guys, like I said, I could go on and on praising about this movie. It's highly recommended. The movie's great. The acting is great. The scenes are great. The way it's done. It's a very well done movie. The music is just incredible, and I could not recommend this movie enough. But anyway, guys, I think I've been through this. I think I've talked about this movie enough. Anyway, feel free to let me know what you guys think about Phantasm, if you guys have seen it, if you guys liked it, and I'd love to see some video responses as well, But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing, and you played a good game, boy. But the game is finished, and now you die.